Hello to everyone. Good afternoon. Am I audible? Jayesh. Hi Jayesh. Good afternoon. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. So those of you who are writing the MH CET exam 2022, do rush and join this session. Kalash. Good afternoon Kalash. I hope you people are doing absolutely wonderful. Deepu. Good afternoon. Deepu, कैसे हैं आप? Good afternoon to all of you. Okay. So we have Jayesh with us, Kalash, Deepu. So we keep on meeting across different sessions, isn't it? So I am Pradeep Sengupta from BYJU'S Exam Prep. I welcome all of you to BYJU'S Exam Prep platform. And we have been bringing to you quite a few sessions on MH CET 2022 exam. Now we have had sessions on logical reasoning. We have had sessions on maths, English. In fact, we have had a couple of sessions on across different topics. So today we are going to discuss yet another very important topic, that is sentence improvement in grammar. I hope this is one area which is going to help you strengthen the basics of sentence improvement in the English section. Across, there are so many questions asked. We have RCs, we have parajumbles, we have other areas, but grammar is quintessential, is a very important aspect, an important cog in the VA section, in the language comprehension section. So आज का जो session होगा, it is going to be on sentence improvement, the various aspects and fundamentals of sentence improvement, and what are the concepts that we have to keep in mind in order to get these questions right in no time. So without wasting any more time, let us start the session. If your friends are there waiting for the session, please go ahead and call them. And also, please subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep channel. Do like the session and share it with your friends if at all you like this session. चलिए शुरू करते हैं आज का session. All right. So, पिछले कुछ सालों में we have seen that when you talk about MH CET, and when it is Maharashtra versus the rest of India, right? Competition to tough hai, isme koi do rai nahi hai, right? Tough in terms of procuring a seat in one of the Maharashtrian colleges, and we have seen that inherently we have this passion and craze for students to take admission in the top-notch colleges in Maharashtra, and एक वेटेज का भी फर्क आएगा. So our merit should be sky high in order to assure our seats in one of the top-notch colleges, right? So merit becomes very, very important. So over the years, if this calculation is there, Sweetie Chaudhary, hi Sweetie, how are you? Good afternoon. Okay, welcome on board. So if you look at the pattern, पिछले 2-3 सालों का अगर हम पैटर्न उठा के देखें, 50 questions in English out of 200, which is quite a good number. If you talk about the reading comprehension section, roughly there are 14 questions to be precise that they have asked in reading comprehension. But when it comes to grammar, different questions on grammar, there are 27 odd questions out of 50 in grammar across different areas of grammar, and sentence improvement is one of them. So this is one area, right? Numbers, they speak volumes. I mean, this is the we can do the fact check over here. 27 questions out of 50 is grammar based. So हमें कौन से area में ज़्यादा काम करने की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. I hope you understand that. When it comes to parajumbles, right? The questions are easy, not as tough as CAT. And there are 5 odd questions which they ask in parajumbles, isn't it? And when you talk about fill in the blanks questions, vocab based questions, there are 4 odd questions out of 50 which they ask you in vocab. But 25 to 27 questions in grammar, that is huge. That is huge. And out of 27 questions, if we can get 90% of them right, right? Your percentile will be through the roof, let me tell you that. So when it comes to CET Maharashtra, we cannot be non-serious as far as grammar is concerned. Let us brush up all the skills and then we will try to encash on the questions. The questions are going to be pretty straightforward. They are going to check you on your grammar skills and the grammar fundamentals. Okay, so the knowledge of grammar fundamentals becomes very important, right? Not what nouns are or pronouns are, what prepositions are, not like that. The application of parts of speech, the application of tenses, the application of subject-verb agreement, the application of the pronouns, that becomes important. Now, in the last couple of sessions, I brought to you some sessions on RC, some sessions on vocab. There were a few sessions given to you on critical reasoning. And today we will talk about sentence improvement. And we will also check how wise and practical we are when it comes to logical thinking and answering the questions. Okay, so without wasting any more time, can we go ahead with the questions? Can we look at the very first question? Are you ready for the challenge? So sentence improvement, grammar questions. Here is your very first question. All right, so this is the question. Read the question, try to attempt the answer option, and then we will discuss the question. All right, I'll give you 15 seconds to drive home your answer. 15 seconds. Here we go. All right, the time is up. Now can we discuss the question? Let us read the question. आराम से पहले question को पढ़ लेते हैं. What is the direction? The direction is select the best option which completes the sentence in the most meaningful manner. This is the moot point of the question. आपको meaningfulness of the sentence को निकालना है. The sensibility of the sentence को encash करना है. So this is a question based on the sentence completion, and this is okay. Okay. The heavy overnight rain dashed to play cricket next morning. A says spoken of the devil. B says spoiled our plan. Kalash says it should be spoiled. I agree with you, Kalash, right? I agree with you. Spoil, spoiled and spoiled is the third form. So यहाँ पे तुम spoiled कर सकते हो. Yes, right? Under the weather, on the ball, none of these. So as far as this question is concerned, this was a pretty straightforward question. You were supposed to play cricket in the morning, so you had a lovely plan, but rain plays a spoil sport. This is the idiom. Rain plays a spoil sport. So the answer should have been spoiled our plan. You can do ed over here. So B should have been the answer. Spoken of the devil, speak of the devil and the devil is here. This is one idiom. When you remember somebody and out of humor you can say this, speak of the devil and the devil is here. So this is one idiom. It does not fit the bill. Under the weather does not make any sense over here. On the ball, although we are playing cricket, but this is not taking you anywhere where it proves that it spoils your plan. None of these is not applicable. So the only option is B, spoiled our plan. So this was a pretty easy question and most of you did get this one right. All right. Can we move on to the next question? All right. Here you have question number 2. Let's read the question very, very carefully before we key in the right answer option. 15 seconds for question number 2 and then we will discuss. All right, the time is up. Let us see what are we supposed to do with this question. Now, this is known as connecting the dots or connecting two different ideas. Right? This is a very logical question, and this question checks how we can connect two different ideas together. Okay, so one talks about a different idea, sentence two talks about a different idea, right? And these are the options, right? They will act as the joining expressions or the conjunctions, right? Or the adverbial phrases. So how do we use them and connect these two ideas together? For this, you have to understand what is the idea being conveyed by question 1 and question 2. कौन सा idea convey हो रहा है? So one says RBI placed the financially troubled Yes Bank under a moratorium. All right. So RBI gives moratorium to Yes Bank to pay off the debts. थोड़ा time मिल गया इनको. That is the moratorium, and this term became so popular during this pandemic, when people failed, when people defaulted, they could not pay their loans on time, and we know the reasons why they could not pay their loan on time. So the banks gave them moratorium, an extended time period to that was an additional buffer given to the client so that they could pay the loans back to the respective banks. Right? In the same light, the RBI also gave moratorium to different banks. So in this case, we are talking about Yes Bank, unko bhi moratorium mila, right? Because the bank was financially troubled. From this expression, it is clear. 2 says, it announced a draft scheme of construction that entails the SBI investing capital to acquire 49% stake in the restructured private lender. So what could have happened? One says after RBI placed. Can we use this to join these two sentences? Is it possible? Can we use these two to join these two sentences? After RBI placed the financially troubled Yes Bank under a moratorium, it announced a draft. It means subsequent to this, RBI did this. So after RBI placed makes sense. This can be used to join these two ideas. इसको इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. 2 says post placing the. Over here, post means what? Post also means after. Right? So over here, the connection is before and after. What happened before, what happens earlier, and then what happens later on. What happens before and then what happens afterwards, subsequent to that. So post also means after. So 1 and 2, they will give you the same kind of thought process, and we can definitely use 2 to join these two sentences. Post placing the financially troubled Yes Bank under moratorium, the RBI announced a draft scheme of reconstruction. Can we say that? बोल सकते हैं. Look at C. Since RBI announced, since and therefore, right? Does it make any sense? We have the sense of before and after in the sentence, but since will call for a reason. Right? Since will call for a reason. So 2 is not a reason for the first one. Sentence number 2 is not a reason for the first one. That is why since can be overlooked, since can be ignored. Are we on the same page? So 3 जा सकता है. I don't think 3 जाएगा. That is why the answer option should have been 2, both 2 and 1. 2 is possible, 1 is possible, 3 is not possible. So this was a question on sentence completion, connecting the dots. Which phrase to use and how logically these phrases can be used to connect the two sentences. Such questions, now this is quite a new version of asking sentence completion questions, not the traditional run-of-the-mill questions which we generally practice in sentence completion pattern. These kinds of questions, although ये 2 से 3 ही होंगे, But such questions you need to practice. All right, in order to bring home the right answer choice. अगर दो भी क्वेश्चन सही हो गए out of 27, 25 questions, so that's an added bonanza for you. Question 2. Easily done. Can we move on to the next question? Ready for the next challenge? Here we go. All right. Same kind of question. The logic that we applied in the previous question, let us see if we can apply the same logic over here in question number 3. 15 seconds and then we will start the discussion. Read it very carefully. Kalash is the first one to have keyed in D. She says it should be D. All right, Kalash, thank you. D is the option according to Kalash. What about the others? Let us look at the question. Let's start discussing the question slowly. Direction kya bol raha hai? Again, mark the appropriate answer. A says, one says, a diversified diet that meets all nutritional requirements is difficult to provide. The first question tells you that something is difficult to provide. And what is difficult to provide? A diversified diet that meets all nutritional requirements. Fortification of food is relied upon by many countries to prevent malnutrition. Fortification, making provision, okay? Making provision. Making provision or arrangement. Right? In the olden days, इसे हिंदी में किलेबंदी कहते हैं, to fortify the fort, right? To have all the provision of food and water for the soldiers who would be in a fort, in the fort, to defend the fort from the enemy. So you would have all the required, fooding and water and medicine in the fort. That is fortifying the fort, making provisions and arrangement. So over here we are talking about provision, making provision for food. Fortification of food is relied upon, right, by many countries to prevent malnutrition. In order to combat malnutrition, many countries depend on fortification of food. Now, one says, provided a diversified diet. Can we use this to join these two sentences? Provided. Now, what kind of logic does it make? Provided a diversified diet meets all nutritional requirement, fortification of food is relied upon by many countries. 2 says, since a diversified diet to meet all nutritional requirement is difficult to provide, that is why fortification of food is relied upon. You can form a shadow expression, that is why. 3 says, as it is difficult to provide a diversified diet that meets all nutritional requirements, fortification of food is relied upon by many countries to prevent malnutrition. When you do fortification of food, then definitely you are actually arranging food from diverse sources. So this question is also based on reason. So you need a phrase that actually gives you the reason to join the dots to connect these two sentences. All right. So providing should be used, Kalash, but the question is provided a diversified diet. Now provided should call for one more clause. If you use provided, right? Just like, you will pass the exam provided you study hard. So provided you study hard, you will pass the exam. That creates a condition. Okay? Provided. That also creates a condition. It does not create a reason. So we need a reason over here. Alright? So the reason comes good in 2, the reason comes good in 3, and that is why the answer option should have been both 2 and 3 are correct. We are going to leave out 1. So sentence completion questions, more than the grammar, it is the logical thought process that will make you understand. Okay? Gaurav, yes, C is correct. Only 3, right? You can take 2 into consideration also. Because since and as, both these words, right, they point out reason, right? And this question requires an expression that actually brings home, that justifies this reasoning clause. All right? That is why since and as both can be used, and D, that's why should be the answer. Okay? So that was question number 3 for us, guys. Moving on to the next question. The idea is, my friends, to lay your hands on a number of diversified questions, different types of questions, and that will help you, to master the sentence completion questions with confidence and ease. Let's look at this question. It says, choose the appropriate option which is grammatically correct and expresses the meaning of the sentences correctly. Okay. Let's look at this question. Kalash has marked B. All right, thank you. Shivani says D. All right. Now, if you look at the question, you will understand and realize, my friends, that the question is not very tough. Okay, just a couple of different kinds of tenses that we have used over here, that makes the sentence a bit tricky, and that is one of the areas that might, create confusion in the mind. All right, let us look at the question. The question says, as we settle into another long summer, I am finding for first time I am ready for the holidays. Now, what is the pulse of this sentence? How do you get the pulse of this sentence? The very first thing that you must find out in a sentence is its time frame. Okay, when I say time frame, I mean the tense. Now, if you just throw a cursory glance at the sentence, as we settle, am finding, am ready. So the tense form or the tense that we have in the sentence is present. Okay, so we have present tense over here, right? I am finding for the first time. I am ready for the holidays. It begins with, A begins with me. Me finding for the first time. Okay, this does not make any sense. I am finding, I is the pronoun that we require over here. Me is not what we are looking for. Why? Because me is objective case. अगर प्रोनाउन ऑब्जेक्टिव केस में है तो हम मी का यूज करेंगे. इफ इट इज इन सब्जेक्टिव केस तो आई का यूज करेंगे. एंड वी आर एक्चुअली टॉकिंग अबाउट द सब्जेक्ट ऑफ द सेंटेंस. आई इज द सब्जेक्ट, सो मी का इस्तेमाल हो नहीं सकता. बी सेज आई डिड फाउंड. ओके, नाउ व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट the did form or the do form or the does form, with this you always use the first form of the verb. Okay, first form means find. Over here it says I did found. Wrong grammatical structure. Okay, do, does, did, the first form of the verb. Over here, did found does not make any sense. I hope that makes sense to you. C says, I find that for the first time. Now, over here, there is a small catch which you must keep in mind. एक concept होता है, please समझिएगा उसको. Verb of perception and verb of appearance. Okay, like look. Look means, you know, how do I look? That kind of look, not as in looking or gazing. Look, appear, know. Know is verb of knowledge. All right. Hear, the listening skills. Hearing, hear, it's a verb of perception. Such verbs in general cannot take an ing form. They cannot take an ing form. All right. You might have noticed people asking their friends, how am I looking today? Now you are dressed for the party, you're dressed to kill, and you need your friends, suggestion. Look at me, how am I looking? Now this is wrong English. Why? Because this is verb of perception. Ideally we should have said, how do I look? Or when you say, you are looking so tired. Wrong English. We should have said, you look so tired today. Because when you talk about verb of perception, you cannot use the ing form. Similarly, HEAR here, right? I am hearing a strange sound. No, it should be I hear a strange sound. Similarly, when you find something, you don't say I am finding. This is wrong. Okay. Find is okay. I have found is okay. Right. I find or I have found is fine. So no replacement required. We will come to it. It does require a replacement. So I am finding is wrong. Okay. So this is gone. This is gone. This is gone. We are left with C and D. Now let's look at this word first. Always remember, words like first, second, third, so on and so forth, these are known as ordinal numbers, right? Ordinal numbers. And it is said that ordinal numbers must take the article the before them. Like for the first time, we need an article over here, for the first time. So the best option is C over here. I find that for the first time, I am ready for the holidays. See, there were very minute discrepancies here and there in the sentence. But this is something which we must understand. Where to use the article? Where the ing form of the verb is not possible. I told you with listen, ing is possible. With hear, ing is not possible. As long as it is not a gerund or a noun. Okay? Hearing, news for hearing impaired. Right? Hearing the news, they left immediately. Okay, that is possible. But I am hearing is not possible. So verb of perception, verb of appearance do not take an ing form. Right? I have found for the first time I am ready for the holidays. This was very close, but this part, right, had a problem. So that is why we should have gone with C. I hope you people have followed. what the problem was over here. Okay, small problems here and there, usko iron out karenge, aage badhenge. Ready for the next challenge? Yes, let's move on to the next question. चलिए इसको करते हैं. Yes, Varun, how can I help you? Do you have a question to ask me? Okay, Kalash has keyed in B, all right. Fitness lifts says C, all right. Okay, Varun says it's okay, all right. Okay, let's attack the question. करते हैं. The hospital restrict the number of visitor who can enter the intensive care unit. The hospital A says restricting the number of visitor. If I can underline this like this. The hospital restricts the number of visitors. The hospital restricted the number of visitors. The hospital restriction the number of visitors. No replacement required. Now, the hospital, this is your subject. Okay. This is your subject. The hospital, and this is the verb. Right? Restricting, you can only use the ing form of the verb when you have the be form coming right before it, which means is, am, are, was, were, right? Since we don't have any helping verb over here, so this is a wrong formation. B says restricts the number of visitors, is absolutely fine. The hospital restricts. Why? Restricts. Present in indefinite tense, and we are using a singular verb and the subject is singular, so B is fine. Alright. C is also fine. Restricted. We are using the past indefinite tense. Restricted. The hospital restricted the number of visitors. So as far as the grammatical structure is concerned, B is fine, C is fine. There is no problem with B, there is no problem with C as far as the first verb is concerned. Please mark my word, as far as the first verb is concerned. D, again, it is a stupid structure. Restriction does not make any sense over here. Why? Because restriction is a noun. And after hospital, we need a verb. So restriction is not a verb. So even this is out of contention. E hoga nahi. So we are left with B and C. Dono mein se kya choose kare? Let's go back to the question. What did I tell you in the previous question? Look for the time, the tense. The hospital restrict the number of visitors who can enter. What is can? Can is present tense. So the previous verb should also be in the present tense. Restricted ho sakta tha, but we have used can over here. So restricted nahi hoga. We will stick with B. Restricts the number of visitors. Alright. I hope that answers the question, Sanya. I believe you have understood. Color says for visitors it has mentioned rather than of for option C. What are we talking about? We are talking about number of visitors. This is the right expression. And number for visitors. No, we are talking about the number of visitors. Yes, Kalash, you are right. Right? It should have been of. You're absolutely right. That also makes C wrong. Okay. So the best option over here should have been B. So kahan pe dekhna hai? Have you understood? How to look at a sentence before you key in the answer. Jaldi mein mat rahiyega. Don't be in a hurry. Okay? Don't be in a hurry at all. Jaldibazi ka kaam dash ka hota hai. And we are not shaitans. Right? So the idea is to be steady. Don't be very slow. Maintain a good speed. But look at proper places in order to get the sentence right. Alright? Let us move on to the next question. Ready for the next challenge? Here we go. Right? We will practice a number of different questions today. Ek to ye raha. Okay. Next question for you right in front of your screen. What is the direction? Match the sentences given in column 1 and 2 that form a logically and grammatically correct pair of sentences. Another example of sentence completion. Let's stay with this question and then we will discuss the right answer option. Rosters? Okay, अब slow नहीं होंगे. It's all about reading and how we read it. Okay? My team is requesting you, we all are requesting you, please like the session and share it with your friends. Alright. Okay. So what is the answer for this question? What is the option? A, B, C, D, E. What do you think should be the answer? Nehal has keyed in C. Thank you, Nehal. All right. The rest of you, करते हैं चलिए. A says, on account of space limitations, magazine editors must. That is the first part. Sanya has also keyed in C. Thank you. Kalash says B. All right. Thank you, Sanya. C. All right. Kalash, thank you. Nehal, thank you. I'm waiting for the others to participate. जो गलती करना है यहीं पे करेंगे, क्लास में करेंगे, मेन एग्जाम में कोई गुंजाइश नहीं है फॉर एरर. ओके, सो लेट्स बी हैप्पी एंड मेक मिस्टेक्स राइट ओवर हियर ऑन दिस प्लेटफॉर्म. ओके, सो बी सेज the terminal in any piece of technology that will, okay, let me plug in my just give me 1 second, guys. Let me plug in my charger. All right, here we go. I am back. So, B says, a terminal is a piece of technology that will. C says, the garden was an oasis of calm that took. So, oasis of calm, piece of technology, on account of space limitation. So, these are the keywords. D says, display information when you request information of it. E says, me away from the noisy streets of the city. This will take you to a particular beginning. You know the beginning, right? So E has a very particular beginning over here. All right. F says, be selective in where they place advertisement. Be selective in where they place advertisement. A says CF, B says BD, and CE. D says B and F and C and D, alright. So quite a few combinations, and E says A and D. So what are we going to stick to? The answer to this question is A, F and C, E, guys. And most of you have got this one right. On account of space limitation, there is a space limitation in magazine. What have the magazine editors done? The magazine editors must be selective in where they place advertisement. So space limitation, magazine, advertisement. So AF rings a bell to you? The garden was an oasis of calm that took me away from the noisy city. Alright. C and E also is a very obvious combination. So that is why we are going to stick to A, F and C, E. Right. Display information to show information. Right. It is not going with any of these beginnings. Alright. That is why C should have been the right answer choice. Alright. So such sentence completion questions must be also practiced, and they have been taken from previous year MH CET question sets. So please practice such questions, right? Number of them in order to be confident with such structures. Can we move on to the next one? Let us practice one more. Take the next challenge. Alright. One more question. Kalash, let me get back to this question right after this one. Okay? I'll get back to this question right after question number 7. Alright. So what should be the right answer? Kalash has marked A, Nehal has marked A, Sanjeevni has marked A. What about the others? Alright. So most of you have keyed in A. Let us see what A is, what the question is. It is A. It's B and F, C and D. Alright. The barista used the espresso machine to brew some dark coffee for the guest. And we know by this name that we are talking about a cafe. Right? The barista, a big name, a very popular name. The barista used the espresso machine. Why do we use the espresso machine? To brew some dark coffee for the guest. So this was a no-brainer. So B ideally should have led you to F. C says a selective admissions process required several. Admission process is the key word. Required several. This is wrongly colored. Several tests to be completed before students were selected. Several tests to be completed. Several what? Tests to be completed before students were selected. So E is gone. We are going to stick with D. It's B and F, C and D. Alright? C and D, C or E. It's C and D. Alright, rosters? Please make the correction. It is C and D. That should have been the answer. Alright. Now going back to question number 6. One of you said D and B. The terminal is any piece of technology that will display. The terminal is any piece of technology that will. Now you're talking about a terminal is any piece of technology. You are talking about terminal being a technology that will display information when you request information of it, right? D and B, they don't go hand in hand because there is no combination, there is no proper structure. So we cannot actually, find any combination whatsoever between B and D. On that ground, we are not going to go with the BD option. Okay, ungrammatical does not make any sense. There is no clarity, right? Absolutely right, Kalash. Absolutely. Just for the sake of explanation, right? That is why these combos become important. Just for the sake of explanation for the others. If you have understood it, fine. I mean, that is one way to go about it. Okay. Next question. Question number 8. A sentence is divided into 4 parts. Choose the part that is or are grammatically incorrect. You have to choose the option which is grammatically incorrect. This question is also a sitting duck. Okay, following the opening ceremony, many began wondering if it would lead to the resurgence of this genre of music. Advait has answered C, Sanya has answered C, all right. Let us look at the question. The question says, following the opening ceremony, many began wondering if it would lead to the resurgence of this genre of music. Look at this part. Would. This helping verb calls for the usage of the first form of the verb. So would let does not make any sense. Ideally, it should have been lead. Would lead is the right expression, right? So this part has a problem. Hence, we are going to stick with C. This is incorrect. The rest of the portions are absolutely fine. Following the opening ceremony, there is no grammatical error whatsoever. Many began wondering if it this is also fine, would lead to the insurgence of this genre of public. Alright, if this genre of music, it should have been music, right? It's a misprint, so don't treat it as an error. C has a problem, so would lead is the right answer option. Alright, okay. So this was question number 8 for you. Pretty easy one. Moving on to the next one. This is also based on grammatically incorrect option. All right. जल्दी से बताइए ऑप्शन क्या होगा. Colors, as usual, she has keyed in C. All right. Rosters also says C. Thank you, both of you. About the others? Monish is asking a question, sir, is wonder a verb of perception? Of course, wonder is a verb of perception. At times it becomes specific, Manish. I'm wondering, you can say that. Okay, but at times I wonder. Let me give you let me give you an example with wonder right after this, the discussion of question number 9. Let's discuss question 9. क्या बोल रहा है देखो. His research on behavioral psychology and habit formation has enabled him developing simple yet effective strategies for building a healthy eating habit. His research on behavioral psychology and habit formation has enabled him. Now, enabled him, helped him, inspired him. This is a pronoun in the objective case because we are using him and not he. So whenever you come across such situations, enabled him, helped him, inspired him, right after this expression, you require a to verb or an infinitive. This is the concept. You require a to infinitive. Alright, to plus verb. So it says, has enabled him developing simple yet effective strategies. Now, developing, ing is a participle. You know what a participle is? Participle is an adjective verb. A verb form used as an adjective. Alright, that is a participle. But over here, we need an infinitive. So the answer should have been, has enabled him to develop simple yet effective strategies. Okay, and that is why C has a problem, right? In place of developing, it should have been to develop, right? I hope that answers the question. Okay, Kalash is congratulating rosters. Okay, go ahead and do that. Now let me come to the question wonder, right? Or think, right? Think is also a verb of perception. But when you talk about a specific action being done and not a general action, then ing with these two verbs are possible, right? For example, I know the plan, right? I think I know the plan. But the moment you say of planning a trip to Kashmir. I dash off planning a trip to Kashmir. The moment you say am of planning, you must use I am thinking of planning a trip to Kashmir, because over here you are thinking about something which is specific. Similarly, wonder. If the thought process is general, if you're generally thinking about anything, then wonder should be wonder no ing form. But if the thought process becomes specific, then wondering can be used in certain situations. All right? Okay. Next question over here. Okay, in the sentence provided, different ways of writing a sentence are indicated. Choose the best way of writing the sentence that is grammatically correct. Okay. Let's be home and dry with this sentence. Spend some time. Okay, have you gone through the question? This is the question. The sentence says, according to the UN, Rwanda's farmers produced this much tons of grain in 2014. This was more than 3 times as much as in 2000. Agricultural statistics can be dicey. Rwanda's plunging poverty rate makes these plausible. Okay, so this is what the sentence talks about. A says, according to the UN, Rwanda's farmers produced 7,92,000 tons of grain in 2014, which was more than 3 times as much as in 2000. And though agricultural statistics can be dicey, Rwanda's plunging poverty rate makes these plausible. Alright. B says, since according to the UN, Rwanda's farmers produced 7,92,000 tons of grain in 2014, which was more than 3 times as much as in 2000. Agricultural statistics can be dicey, and Rwanda's plunging poverty rate makes these plausible. Alright. C says, according to the UN, despite Rwanda's farmers producing 7,92,000 farmers of grain in 2014, this was more than 3 times as much as in 2000, and agricultural statistics can be dicey, which makes Rwanda's plunging poverty plausible. Okay, so we just have A, B and C. This is the question, right, structured in 3 different ways. So we have to find out whether A should be the answer, B should be the answer, or C should be the answer. Alright. Rosters, you have marked E. Okay, thank you. Kalash has marked C. Sanvi has marked D. Okay. Varun, option C. Alright. Okay. Let us look at A. Now, what are we comparing? We are comparing, according to the UN, Rwanda's farmers produced 7,92,000 tons of grain in 2014, which was more than 3 times as much as in 2000. And though agricultural statistics can be dicey, Rwanda's plunging poverty rate makes these plausible. Okay, so these discrepancies are plausible owing to Rwanda's plunging poverty. B starts with since, right? Now, whenever you begin a sentence with since, it must have a conclusion. Since, according to UN, Rwanda's farmers produced 7,92,000 tons of grain in 2014, which was more than 3 times as much as in 2000. Agricultural statistics can be dicey, and Rwanda's plunging poverty rate makes these plausible. Do we find an answer to since? Do we find an answer to since? Right? The rest of the question is fine, but the answer to since is not present in the question, right? In the sentence. That is why B can never ever be the right answer choice. C says, according to the UN, despite Rwanda's farmers producing 7,92,000 farmers of grain in 2014, this was more than 3 times as much as whatever. This part, does it make sense to you? So what does that lead you to? Right? E, only A, and this is the right answer choice. Okay, right from here, from this part, we could have struck out C. Okay, A is the right answer option, and that is why option E is should be the answer choice. Sanya says no. You are saying no to what, dear? Only C? If I can see your explanation. Right? The clarity comes absolutely fine in A. C is not clear. Look at this part. Right? This part has a problem. Right? What are we talking about? 7,92,000 tons of grain. It says 7,92,000 farmers of grain in 2014. It is not logical. It is not structural. All right. So this was question number. Yeah, since. Okay. All right. Fine. I got it now, Sanya. So that was question number 10 for us. So sentence completion mein we have seen around many different varieties of questions today. Please keep practicing such questions, and it is always important to go for the past year mocks. Take some past year mocks, find out some good sentence completion questions from different sources and try and attempt them. Okay. So for your information, BYJU'S program is on. Please don't forget to join the program. For queries, call on the given number. All right. Batch 5 has been rolled out. Please enroll now for CAT 22. Ask your friends if they haven't enrolled with us. Ask them to do so. Call on the given number and find out everything that you want about CAT 2022. And again, once again, I request you to like our session, comment on our session if you really find this session insightful, share it with your friends, and subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep. Right? So follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and do join our Telegram group to have a one-to-one conversation with our faculty and download the app from Google Play. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best for CET Maharashtra. Khub mehnat karo and go for the kill. Thank you and see you on the other side of the story. Bye-bye all of you. Thank you, Saif. Bye-bye.